So today I want to go over making some venison sausage sticks, and today we're going to be making a honey barbecue, and we're going to be trying that also with some high temp cheese. So I'm just going to kind of go over all the things that you kind of need for that. You don't have to. You don't have to have one, but a scale is good. I want to make sure we're using the right amount of meat and ingredients. So we're going to weigh up. I've got about 5 pounds of venison thawing out. Got our scale. We've got the meat grinder. We'll also be using the sausage stuffing attachments for that. And then we've got some measuring cups, bowls, and then I've been using this PS, I think it's from PS Seasonings, and it is their honey barbecue seasoning, and it is awesome. I'd highly recommend that. I'll have a link to that, I'm sure, in the description. Then we went to the local meat market, got a pound of high temp cheese, and then you're going to need some collagen casings. So we'll just kind of start off and show you the process. Now we're going to do another grind on this meat. It's already ground, but what we're going to do is we're going to take it, we're going to put the meat in a bowl here, and then we're going to mix in all of our seasonings. So we'll mix our seasonings in, mix it all up, and then we'll put it in for one more grind. And then after we've ground that, then we'll start filling the sausage. So we're at just under 5 pounds. I didn't realize that one of the packages I forgot to unthaw, and so I'm thawing that one out, but we'll add that one in. But basically we're going to add our seasonings, and for this one you're going to add 1/8 of a tablespoon per pound, and 8 tablespoons per pound, and 1/8 of a teaspoon of cure per pound. So we're going to end up adding about 2.5 cups of the seasoning. So now we're just going to mix this stuff up. So we've tried this honey barbecue before, and it is phenomenal. But my wife insists that we need cheese. So like we talked about, you get some high temp cheese, and what that does, that just keeps it from melting so easily. Leaves you some nice chunks inside the sausage after you're done smoking it. So we're going to mix in, I don't know, probably about 3/4 of a pound to 5 pounds of meat here. Actually, I'm going to start with just about 1/2 of a pound here and see how we look. I'm not sure that honey barbecue and cheese are going to go all that well together, but that's what the wife wants, so that's what the wife will get. You really can't go wrong with cheese. So we ended up with about 6 1/4 pounds of meat, and that's including the cheese, which is really a pound of cheese. So we're going to start, basically we're going to stick this in the grinder, and we're going to go through one final grind, and that'll really help mix all the cheese and the seasoning and make sure we've got a really good thorough mix. And then once we do that, we'll move on to stuffing the sausage. Alright, so we've got our meat all ground, and we'll just set up now for stuffing the sausage. So for that, let's switch out this blade in the front. I should mention, I don't know if you can see it, but I did unplug this thing. I don't want to have this thing plugged in while I'm sticking my hand in these sharp blades. And then for stuffing the sausage, use this open blade here, open plate. And then we're going to use our sausage stuffing attachment. We're using the smallest casing here, which I believe is set up for 1/2 inch. So now we'll start stuffing our grinds into here. And definitely, it is definitely something you have to take your time and manage how much is coming out, and make sure that it doesn't bind up. Make sure you want to keep this casing fairly tight, because you don't want a whole bunch of, you don't want it loose in there, but at the same time you don't want to get it overstuffed, because when you start cooking that, it will explode. And even if you hold it here and get too much pressure built up, you can pop that casing. So it is something that takes a little bit of time to understand how tight to hold it, but it's not super hard. So. I just like to make my links probably about 2.5 to 3 feet long, and what that does is it allows me to fold those in half, and then I can stack those real nice on my racks when I'm smoking them. So they kind of sit like this, and that works really well for me. So I like to preload the casings onto here. It makes it a little easier, especially when you're using one of these meat grinders as you're stuffing. If you have a sausage stuffer itself, they have a really long tube that you can fit these on that fits really well. But with the kind of the El Cheapo Amazon special meat grinder, you really just got to pre-load the casing on there, and I'll walk you through that. But so it's really important to make sure you've got the right amount of pressure. If you have too much pressure, you can end up with a blowout, which is kind of what happened here. Got a little too much pressure build up, and we had a blowout in the casing. So you want fairly loose. This is maybe a little, it's not too bad. You want to be able to twist this casing, so you can make almost like a little sausage link. So that's good to where it's got a nice even pressure. It's not too bad. So you don't want it too loose, but at the same time you don't want it over tight to cause blowouts, especially when you cook. When you cook those, that is definitely when the blowouts will start happening. So just a little bit of pressure on this casing as you're stuffing the meat through there. So here's what we ended up with. This is all the stuff we stuffed with, about 6 pounds. So what we're going to do is we'll put this in the fridge. We're going to let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow we're going to let it smoke. So this morning we got up and put our meat in the smoker, and just kind of show you that. Put them on 3 different racks, and
So one thing I definitely have to do is I rotate these throughout the run. I'll take the bottom ones, put them on top, and swap those around so they don't overcook. And you can kind of see here, this is where a casing was a little too tight, and once you cook, it kind of breaks off. Not that that meat's not still good. I just cut the casing off, but it's better if the casing stays on. And then I have a thermometer here that I'll put on each layer, so I can keep track of each layer. And also, this particular thermometer, I'll put a link to it, has an app, and it will show what each one of those thermometers is reading. And the goal is to get these things to 165 degrees. So I try to keep my smoker temperature at 200, which is just cooling down now because I opened the door, but keep that range right at 200, and then cook that meat to about 165. Once it hits 165, you're good to pull that out, and you're good to go. And then let it cool down for a little bit, and then we cut it up to lengths. So overall, I think the PS Seasonings spices mix is awesome. Definitely be trying some different flavors from them. But hope you liked the video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks.